Welcome to another session of Q&A with the Gardening Grandma. That's me. And today it's what to do if somebody asks you for a cutting or clipping of some of your plants, or if they're admiring your plants and you want to share with them. I'm going to show you some of my plants and how easy it can be to give a start or some type of clipping, dividing of your plants, so they too can have those plants. All right, one of the very easiest ones to propagate is the succulents. And I have a beautiful rose-like succulent here, and it is so simple to propagate. All you do is you take off one of these petals. Here's one that's has just fallen off. So you've got that petal there. And all you do is you just lay it on top of the soil. Just lay it on top of the soil. This little pot here, this is ones that have already started to root out. Like first what they do, I've got them at different stages. This one here, if you can see, is just starting to put out, let me see what's the best way there, a little tiny root on there. I don't even know if you, there it is, there it is. Little tiny root coming out the bottom there. And then another stage, they start to grow a little mini plant on the leaf. And this one here, you see it's got the leaf there, and then it's starting to grow a little plant. So that can make a lovely little gift for you to share with your friends, so they too can want to have one of these beautiful succulents. The next one is the Christmas cactus. And again, it's a very simple one to propagate. All you do is you take one of these sections off the plants. You just break it off. Here I've got a couple started in the pot here. And with the succulents, you don't, when you break it off the plant, you want it to leave it overnight so that it calluses over or hardens over, so you're not putting an open part of the plant into the soil. And once it's dried over where you broke it off, then the next day you can just set that leaf into the soil, the bottom part, and it'll start to root. And here you see there's some little growth starting to happen on these succulents, on these parts of the Christmas cactus there. Very simple to start whole new plants. And this coleus here, these coleus, they're very simple to start too. And what you do is that you're going to cut off the succulent. Like if you see these two branches up here, they're growing kind of tall. And actually it would benefit the plant if I were to cut those off. It would be a much more bushier growth in here. So you cut them off and make sure that you cut them off, you've got at least a full leaf node. So you're going to cut just below the leaf nodes where the leaves are attached to the stem. And that's where the roots, it's going to start rooting. So you would cut that off, you break off all the extra leaves, and you just leave these, smaller leaves at the top. These can be rooted in water. So once you've cut that off and you put it in some water, and it'll start to root right in the water, and then you can pot it up into some light seed starting mix or a light mix. Another one that you can start in water is a spider plant. This one, it's called a spider plant because it has a little, looks like a web coming out of the main plant, and then it has a leafy little plant attached to that that kind of looks like a spider. And that's like a little miniature baby plant of the spider plant. And if you just cut those off, stick them into water, and they will root out and create a whole new spider plant. And you find many of these plants, you'll actually start to see they start to put out roots when they're still part of the plant, like the spider plant. Those little babies will start to stick out little roots at the bottom of them. They're just looking for a place to set those roots into the soil and start whole new plants. That's the way they propagate. Mexican hat plant, they grow little babies all along the seeds, all along the leaves that'll have little roots in there, and those get knocked off and they set root and start whole new plants. Or you'll often see on the ivies that they'll have, it'll start to root out, set little roots, and they want to, again, where they touch the ground, put in roots and start new plants. So ivy's another one that's really easy to start from a stem cutting, and you just let it, put some soil over it, and it'll start to root off and produce a whole new plant. Mint is the same way. It roots very easily and will spread. It puts kind of little runners out that actually they say for the mint you should contain it because it will spread out throughout the garden. So if you want to keep it more contained so it doesn't take over your garden. These are all plants that are very simple to propagate. And a lot of the perennials, they actually do very well if you do separate them, like when they are getting overcrowded in clumps, you just break those clumps apart, separate them, you got whole new plants in, and it revives those other plants so they're not overcrowded and they'll have that fresh soil and more nutrients. So it's a beautiful way for you to be able to get more plants, often benefiting the plant, the coleus. It makes for a bushier, better looking growth. The perennials, it stops it from being overcrowded and gives a whole new burst of soil for them to root out into and gather nutrients. And then you can pass those plants on and let others enjoy these wonderful plants we have and that abundance from nature.